Okay, hello. I am currently just doing a quick little bit of work. I figured I'd record it, just put on YouTube, so I have the content. So basically, what I'm trying to do now is more work on OstrichDB, right? That's pretty much what my whole channel is about, or been about for a while. But basically, what I'm trying to do is work on the manual query editor for OstrichDB.com. Um, so if you go to OstrichDB.com and you like sign in or whatever. There's a manual query editor that I want to work on. And basically, it'll allow you to do something like create or new foo.bar.baz of type int with one, yeah, one, two, three, four, five, right? Int array. So this is saying create a new record inside of the cluster bar, inside of the collection foo of the data type integer array or integer slice, whatever you want to call it, with the value of this, this list here, right? And so that's how the CLI currently works. If you were to use Ostrich DB CLI, the thing is, I am putting this on the web, or we're porting this to the web. So how in the hell do we get, um, like, how do we work queries like this on the web? And my thought process was, well, we can parse the queries out into, um, what do you call it? Like endpoints, basically. So, for example, let's take the example I have. Oh, they refreshed. Sorry. Let's try something simple like new foo, right? So this is saying create a new collection called foo. Simple. So, an endpoint for this would be something like, API slash v1, and then you have your project or your project ID, and then collection, and then foo. And then there's one more thing. What is it? Oh, and you're using the post method, all right? The post HTTP method. So this is actually wrong. One second. So this would be actually projects. So it'd be like this. You're using the post HTTP method, and you're saying, all right, in this project and with this project ID, all right, collections, we're going to create a new collection called foo. And we're going to post that. That's what that would translate to. So new foo from the CLI, when properly parsed, would be something along these lines, right? Using this HTTP method here. Okay. So I need to handle every single possible variation of command and then parse them into valid endpoints. So, for example, the one I did earlier, new foo dot bar dot baz, that should be lowercase, by the way. Sorry. New foo dot bar dot baz of type integer array with these values one, two, three, four, five. Okay, well, how the hell would that look? It looked like this. So again, same thing. We're creating something since we're using new, and as far as OstrichDB is concerned, new means create. All right. So we'd be using the post method again, HTTP method. And this is all the same. And then we do clusters, and that would be bar records, bars. And then now we do a query. So we do type is equal to integer or int, whichever one, doesn't really matter. It converts it properly. So let's just do integer. And then value would be one, two, three, four, five. So I need to essentially convert everything over, parse it out, or construct proper endpoints or routes based off of what the CLI command or query is. So this could be a real pain in the ass, and then I mean the reason why I started this video is because it kind of has been. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this. So me explaining it aloud really helps sometimes. So let's get rid of this. So I'm currently working on the idea of when you have a parameter. So let's take a look at this a little bit more. This isn't necessarily a video about the OstrichDB CLI and how it works, but since I'm trying to port over a big part of it to the OstrichDB web app, we kind of need to think about this. Okay, so um, let me just see if I'm actually still recording. I am. Looks good. Okay. Um, there's different commands. So if we want to rename, let's say this is a CLI stuff, right? So like the query, you're writing an OstrichDB query in our faux query language. We want to rename a collection from foo to uh my cool DB. I need to handle that. So that would look like something like this. Foo, move that there. So put that there, and then it would be query parameter rename, and then it would be my cool DB like that. So that's currently where I was trying to worry about renaming things. So I was able to do it for collections, right? So da, 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 right, we're constructing it. And then so you can rename a collection. So we take the query parameter. Oh, that's what I was talking about. I'm sorry. So um this is going to be an update HTTP, or not an update, but a put HTTP method. So let's take this example and kind of break it down a little bit more into how OstrichDB CLI interprets queries. So you have different portions of it. You have the first portion, which is your command token. We'll just do CMD. So rename is a command token. Foo, or anything else used with a dot notation, is what's called a location token. To is mapped. It's a mapped parameter token. So there are a couple of these instances. So like of type is also mapped. So of type is mapped to int, and with is also mapped to the value after that. Okay, so in this case, to is a parameter token. Um, add a little space here, so that way it's easier to see. And then we can do this like this is mapped. Okay, so two is a parameter token, and whatever is after it is mapped to it as the value. So two is a key, and myQuoDB is the value. So you can also think of um, this as a key. All right, hopefully that makes sense. Now, to do work on this is the difficult part. um, I think I need to redo a lot of this because there are several commands, and this is what I was going to do next, is worrying about, okay, well, there's several commands, so you can rename, new, erase, rename, fetch, set. I don't even remember why this one's here. I guess if you're, this is like updating. Um, get the type of, the size of something, change the type of something. All of these things should be able to be done via a query and then also be translated into an actual endpoint using a different HTTP method. So we have the reason I broke this down here, command token, location token, parameter token, um, is to kind of make it easier to explain what's happening above. So take it, for instance, line 207 down to 213 and have this if block. So if the length of the parameter tokens is one, all right, which it should be, we're going to write a query parameter, like a question mark in the endpoint, all right, which is this right here. You see it here as well. We're then going to append rename in this instance, because if we're doing it on the cluster, we can only rename a cluster. You can't, there are no other query parameters to be set for a cluster level. Only records have like multiple. Um, so we know that. So we write that to our endpoint. So our endpoint now looks like this up to about this point or so. Okay. And then we go over the parameter, we get the key and the value, and then we're writing the value or appending the value after the query token. So what we end up getting is this. Remember, the value of that, I'm sorry, not query token, of that parameter token is mapped. So as opposed to just being here, we get the whole thing. Okay. So that's what happens on the cluster and collection level. Records are a little different because records can be, I even wrote a little comment. Records can have their name, type, and value updated. So it's not going to be, the logic won't be as easy as just, okay, well, you want to rename it. No, you can either change the type, the value, or the name. So that's where I'm currently at. Um, Hopefully this all makes sense. I'm just taking query, like queries in this OstrichDB fake language and converting it, parsing it out. Okay. Um, but records are a little bit more complicated. So what would this query look like? This would look like, uh, hmm, we can do something more like this. If uh, query dot command token is equal to rename, then that means whatever is after that is set. So we would do um, literally the same thing we're doing here. We'd write, rename, and then whatever is mapped to the parameter token is good to go. Okay. We could actually just probably do a switch statement here, actually. Let's do that. That'll be a little bit cleaner. Switch query and then command token. So if it's rename, what do you take that? Oh, oops, sorry. I'm tripping. So in the event that it is not rename, we would just take some of this logic. So we no longer need this or this. Hmm, that makes sense to me. So that's that. This closes that. Um, you set off. All right. So in the event now that the command token is change type, things are a little different. Um, we're going to write string uh, reference path, and then it's going to be type like that. And so for uh, actually, we don't even need to worry about key. We can just do that, I believe. Yeah, that should work. In q dot ram token, right? String. Uh, and we're just going to write the value to it. So that means, as opposed to it being like this, it'd be type is equal to, now we want to change the type to something like string. Okay. So that's what I just was doing. Okay. Same thing. So next we need to, I think, um, set is the next one, which is setting the value. And that would be, we need to add our break here as well. And we can probably take all of these and put them in their own function, which I probably will do. Um, and then we're going to do value equals, and then or ignore that. All right. In ram token, gonna write the string. And then val. This is not val, we want val. And then we break out of this. Okay. So I'm gonna bring my comment back. Records and have their name, type, and value updated. So logic handled differently here. Okay, you can get rid of that. Here we go. We got a lot of nesting going on. This is what I was afraid of. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. So what else can we do? So we're creating a path. Creating and deleting data is straightforward. Um, Renaming is complicated. Updating the value is complicated as well. But I think that's good, honestly. I think that might be all right. Okay. Now, do I want to take this logic here and put it in a function and handle that somehow? Procedure. How would we do that? We would just take in the query. We would just return the path, I think. Yeah, we would just return, or we would return the value, but we'd still need to handle the query parameters, so I'm not gonna worry about that. Um, Also, there should be, one more thing. So yeah, we write the record name, but we'd also need to write if the length of query.parameter tokens is greater than 0, write this. All we'd have to do is write the question mark there. Okay, so let me go through the logic here. And I will copy and paste the like a fake endpoint to kind of show what is going on. So up to this point, let's say line 192, or yeah, 192, we have something that looks like this. And I'll put it in here so that way it's easy to see. Okay, so up to this point, we've constructed something that looks similar to this, like that. All right. So now, all right, so we're going a little deeper. We'll take that out. And in the event, so we're setting the collection's name. So now we have something that looks like this. That's our collection name, foo. All right. Next, this is good. We can actually make this a comment. That'll work really well. Um, we're going to see if there's a parameter token. If there is a parameter token, um, we're going to append the question mark. So now we have something that looks like this. All right. We're next going to append the rename um, string, I guess you want to call it that. So now we're saying, all right, we want to rename this, and we're going to assign the value of whatever is mapped to the parameter token next. Cool. Next, we get down to here and we're writing the value. So the value is whatever the user passes. In this case, they want to call it bar. So they're renaming the collection from foo to bar. Easy day. And then we break out of this. Um, Now, if the length of the location token is more than one, or if it's two rather, that means we're doing work on a cluster. So at this point, you'd be doing something like rename if the user is doing something like foo.bar, their location token is split into two here, so it's equal to two. So now the endpoint would look something like this. Clusters, we have to do it. So collection foo, clusters, and we'll call it bar for now. And so we construct that. We actually constructed about here. Okay. And then the process continues. The next line down or the next little block down, we add a question mark and then we add the rename and then the thing, the equal signs, and then we give it whatever value the user wants. So some value. And then it continues on down to records. So I think that's good enough explanation. I shouldn't have to go into any more detail to it. And then so we can, once we construct that endpoint, we can now send this request over our server, and users will be able to enter in their queries, but the parser will parse everything out and construct um, our endpoints. And now the user doesn't need to know what's happening here necessarily. I mean, it's exactly what they say. We are now constructing. I don't even have to run this to know that it's gonna ideally um, to work. Like I'm at the point now where I don't need to run things. I can just, if it breaks, I'll fix it. But as it stands, the logic should hold up. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna actually keep these here. Comment that out for now. And I'm not gonna need this procedure anymore. And what's going on here? So we're missing have an extra. I do want to print out what we're doing. So that's cool. So we construct our endpoint, and then we return the path as a string. Now, the next step is to take that path and do something with it. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with it. So all of this is handled in our handlers, and our handlers do take in a path, which is good. Mm, 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 mm. Okay. So I need to do um manual query, and then it takes. Oh, you know what? I actually might have fucked this up. Shit. Hold on. If I do manual query, we might have to update that. Mm, Okay, I'm gonna take this and take this one, add route. So if we're getting to, do we need to do it that way? Because we just send the request. It would send the request normally, so I don't think we need. I don't even know if we need these. Shit. Uh, mm, mm. The only time we call this is when we're doing it over the like here. So this is happening. So it's project. Right. And then we handle the get requests. Mm, where will we pass the actual path? Can't return the path. This technically isn't taking anything in. At least from what I can tell. So what would we do here? Hmm. This is the tricky part. Taking the actual data that they constructed path. I gotta think about this. I might have to take a different approach. Hmm. Number of segments. Doesn't that actually might be fine, I think. I don't know. This is rough. Mm, what we could do is something like, yeah, okay. I could do something like, once we break the path apart, if manual query, right, if if this word here is found in the path, I can just set the path to whatever that returns, I think would work. Whatever the constructor returns, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait a minute. That's incorrect. Because first we'd have to get the query. So we'd have to parse out. So we have to create an endpoint, a post. Oh shit. Hold on. Fuck. Hold on. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. We'd have to do a post request first, post a query, parse the query. So we wouldn't be worried about getting anything necessarily, would we? Let me do that first. So let's comment this out for now. We'll take it. We can use it still. All right. So first you want to mm, 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 first you want to point to it. Manual query. And then so the query would have a yeah, all right, this makes a little bit more sense to me. So it would have a value, and the value would just be a string like that. Hold on. Yeah, just like this. Oh, P. Mm. Go 1, 2, 3, 4. So the fourth one. Hmm. Okay. So otherwise, we set the path now equals whatever. Okay, so we'd actually need to wait. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Query is equal to parse. Wait a minute. So this makes a query, okay, and then we need to parse the query, or we already parsed the query. This parses the query out, and we need to then construct a path off the query. Uh, shit. Um, how the hell would we do that though? Because it needs to would be creating another path, but then we'd need to handle that path. So we could we could handle it with a switch case. So in the event that it's oh man, that's rough. Dang it, drop my glasses. That's rough. I don't know if this is the right way to do this anymore. Um, I think this returns, yeah, this returns an error too. We won't handle the error right now. Um, okay, so we've constructed an endpoint, right? We've got a pass now. Um, but then what? Like I I don't know. Um, shit. I think I did this wrong. Well, I definitely did this wrong. Would we need to do this on another thread? Because then it would have to go through everything. We can't, we'd have to like, hmm. Okay, so my option, how would I do this? Okay. My option might be to put this in a completely different procedure or function. And we'd still need to, okay, so I guess should explain my problem aloud here. So we need to take in queries from the front end. Those queries are going to be written like I was explaining earlier in the video, like so, new foo.bar, whatever, rename, etc. Those queries need to get broken down or parsed and then construct those, like whatever was parsed from those queries need to get constructed into valid endpoints using our API layer. Um, that then needs to be passed to our handlers. That path or that valid endpoint would need to be passed to our handlers to perform an operation. Cool. Well, to do this, we kind of have like a chicken before the egg situation almost. So let's say we successfully parse, right? We've gotten a query successfully, we've parsed it out, we've created a path. Well, this is a post request. So we're sending a post request of this path or of this query or whatever. Um, no, we're sending a post request to something that looks like this endpoint here, API slash V1 projects, project ID, manual query, and a value. That value is the query. Okay. We take that value, we parse it. Okay. And that becomes a query, a valid query within OstrichDB. That query is in part constructed or broken apart and then constructed into a path. My problem is, what in the fuck do I do with that path from here? Because this path needs to get passed in to handlers, like so. So maybe, where am I? Maybe I can set path to equal path, the new path, or path to equal constructed endpoint, and then have a switch case that no, because then I'd have to break it apart again. Fuck, man, this is rough. So kind of like a chicken before the egg thing. Perhaps we can return the constructed endpoint, and then maybe we might be able to do it that way. We might be able to just return the path or the constructed endpoint, and then handle the connection again or send a request again. A different request, essentially. Basically, we're sending two requests. We're sending a post request to post the query, the Ostrich DB query. It looks like this and all that. And then we make another request that posts or gets or deletes or whatever using the constructed path. But then that leaves another issue. How the fuck would it know? We'd have to like assemble some sort of payload of like the method, the path. This is tough. Hmm. We could probably create a payload, right? So payload. Okay. Now what? So we've made a payload and it's got the query and the method. Oh, the query should also have a path. It should also have a path to um okay. Now what though? So we made that. Can we return the payload? I don't know if we can return the payload. Sometimes I need my editor to work and show me errors. I know what the fuck I'm doing. Like here, it should be showing an error, but it's not. Uh, because I think this is incorrect. I don't know if I can return the payload. Um, expected a new line. Expected a comma. What? I don't need a comma after a struct in a struct, do you? You don't. Am I tripping? Oh, you do. Fuck me. I don't remember ever writing a comma. Okay. Ah, declare undeclared name. Ah, yeah. Undeclared change type and undeclared. Oh, it's supposed to be dot change type and dot set. What else we got here? Was partial handlers. Yeah, forgot you got to do that there too. If it's not the full switch or the full enum being evaluated, you got to do partial. Okay. Parameter queue of type query missing a procedure call. Parse query. Expected two return values got 1, 718. Not assigned value payload of type. Oh shit. Okay. Shit. So I knew, yeah, you can't send it. I don't know how to deal with this. I'm gonna have to probably redesign this. This is not going to work. So we constructed a payload, but yeah, this is chicken before the egg. All it has it all over it. Or like a chicken egg, then chicken again. Actually, that wouldn't work. It'd be like two chickens before the egg, and then a duck of some sort, or other avian creature. Yeah, I don't know. My goal is to find a way to basically we're using an HTTP request to then construct another HTTP request. That's basically what this boils down to. I just need to figure out the best way or a way to handle that. So here I am constructing or I am handling an HTTP request to construct another HTTP request. I'm gonna make that comment just so I have something to go off of next time. All right, I'm gonna end the video and I'm gonna upload it. For anyone who watched, I appreciate you being patient with me trying to figure this out. Definitely more work needs to be done and more understanding needs to be done as well. If you get a chance, check out ostrichdb.com. You can also go to the OstrichDB CLI repository. There's also the OstrichDB, the open OstrichDB repository for the backend. It's an older version of the backend. There's the stuff I'm working on now is not in here, but you can kind of see where things are in a sense. There's also the OstrichDB web application repo that you can go to as well, ostrichdb.com. You can get here from the web application by just clicking on the little GitHub logo at the top. Um, if you are a developer looking to contribute, feel free to make some pull requests or make issues or look through the code or whatever. Appreciate it. Peace.